Right, so help me get the application. So I see. We're starting in 1 minute. Okay, so open document, right? Okay.
Alan and Dina, please hang up the phone and call the 213 number. It's 213-289-0500. The access code 891341. Please hang up from the WebEx and out of the 408 and call that number, please. Thank you.
So we're
Say hello and then, let me press pause. Press the pause button.
okay, so new application. Okay, where is it? Microsoft PowerPoint. Oh, but it's not my application.
And it's shared right now.
Let me open it. Let me open the open.
Again, stop and then you'll reshare a different one.
Okay.
Once you're done with this, click stop and then click share application, click new.
Okay, okay, very good. Okay. Okay.
Oh, you press play. Recording and okay, we're recording.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. This is the second lesson in QuickBooks, and I got a few emails from somebody. One person said they're going to be absent. Okay, so this is the second QuickBooks, and again, you may ask questions. I only have one comment that maybe I spoke too fast, so I'll try to speak a little more slowly. Okay, so if there are any questions, of course, please do them online, and I'll be able to answer them. Again, my email is swhandel@gmail.com. If you have any questions, I'll be able to give them to you. I hope everybody can see the PowerPoint. Okay, and I'll start the slideshow. Again, this is the second lesson. And again, just some of the material for the course. Again, I said the main textbook is QuickBooks for Dummies by Stephen Nelson, MBA CPA Wiley 2003. An optional text is QuickBooks 2010, the official guide by Leslie Caprichetier by Quick and Press 2010. And Fundamental Accounting Concepts by Edmonds et al., Erwin McGraw-Hill 2000. And again, a running computer with QuickBooks. Okay, so those are the materials. And the subject today is three big subjects. Is number one, web-based QuickBooks. That question came up pretty much last week. and then review of last week's topics, and Chapter 2 of QuickBooks. Okay, here's a question. Okay, that's what we'll do. Okay, and Chapter 2 of QuickBooks for Dummies. Okay, so web-based QuickBooks. What I suggest for people to do, I'm not going to do it right now. I took a look at it. Maybe we'll see it a bit later. There's a lot of information on the web about web-based QuickBooks. The main thing is a completely different business model. The difference is, in my humble opinion, is that if you're using QuickBooks, QuickBooks Pro, QuickBooks, any type of QuickBooks that you're using on your computer, then all the data is resident on the computer, and if the computer is down, then you have to share the computer with somebody else or anything, but the stuff is based on the computer. If you have the application on the web, then any place you go on the web, you can actually see the documents from your workspace from that particular point on the web. So that's the difference. And the difference in the cost model. The regular application, such as QuickBooks Pro, you pay one time. I paid $119 for my copy. It's from $90 to $200 approximately. I'm not a salesman of it. But anyway, if you do the web, there's a $13, $33, whatever the cost is, it's on the web. You'll see that there's a monthly cost that you pay. So you have to continually pay for it, while the regular QuickBooks is only one time, and then it's actually yours for forever. So that's the difference. So the difference is, are you going to pay for it monthly, or are you going to actually get it one at a time? Obviously, that's the difference. Okay. So the next thing is, last week we started book 1. The way the book QuickBooks for Dummies is written, you actually have in the book, and look, I have the book in my hand right now. You actually have what's called 8 books. The book is written as 8 books. Book 1 is the accounting primer. Book 2 is getting ready to use QuickBooks. Bookkeeping chores, accounting chores, financial management, business plans, etc., etc. And each book has different chapters. So in last week's course, which we were doing book 1, just want to review a few things. Number 1 is what's called the accounting model. The accounting model is very, very famous. And the accounting model says, how do you evaluate what a company has? So the accounting model has the idea that you actually have assets. That's the amount of thing that you have available in the company. Which equal to the liabilities. That's the money that's owed to you, plus the owner's equity. That's the money they have in hand. So that's your definition of your assets. The liabilities that people owe to you, and the money that you have in hand. So that's the definition of the accounting model. We're going to the next page. And chapter 2, we actually have a real-time model. The real-time model in chapter 2 is the real-time example. We had a real-time example. You can see this. You can see this if you have the book. The real-time example has a balance sheet, has rents coming in, has a wage expense, supplies expense. This is a real estate building, and has the idea of figuring out the revenues and according to the cost of goods sold. So this is a real-life example which you have in book 1. And then a few words about how QuickBooks works inside. QuickBooks works inside, whether it's on the web or whether it's on your desktop. It works by keeping all the data in files inside the QuickBooks application. The QuickBooks application has lists. We're going to see that shortly. And then the QuickBooks application then actually is able to do all the accounting functions for you. So that's a few words without going into great detail of how the QuickBook works. So now we'll go a little bit so then we have special accounting problems, which is chapter 3. It keeps the file size list, as I said before. And now we have book 2 ready to use QuickBooks. So that is called book 2. We're going to see this how to use QuickBooks. Okay, getting ready. First of all, just if you can show me by raising your hand, how many people actually have QuickBooks running? Okay. Anybody have QuickBooks running? Okay. So the idea is, number one, how do you set up QuickBooks? Okay. Okay. So we have the okay. So now the question is, how do you start to use QuickBooks? Okay. So again, as I said, setting up QuickBooks, you can either set it up on your computer as a desktop, or you can actually set it up on the web. The main thing when using QuickBooks is you actually, when you're setting it up, so the book QuickBooks for Dummies actually has a beginning chapter of how you set it up, and how do you set it up is that QuickBooks does and everything, and then when you install QuickBooks, you actually get the application running. So the first thing that you do is you have to set up what's called a company. The company is the place where the QuickBooks runs on, and the company is the idea of setting it up and then setting up the company for you to use it. So the first thing is you have to set up the interview. So the interview, they talk about a pre-interview visit. Some people get worried about that. The main thing is when you set up the interview, you have to prepare for the interview the various things that you need. First of all, you have to have accurate financial statements for the conversion to QuickBooks to date. If your information is available and you have it available, then you can actually set it up very quickly. If the information is not available, then you're in trouble. So you have to have your information available for you, and it has to be accurate, no question. Then the detailed records of your accounts payable, that's the money that people owe to you. Accounts receivable, the things that you have to pay. The inventory that you have in your warehouse. And fixed assets, that's the money that you have lying around in all your accounts. And then you have to have a complete or nearly complete list of employees. You have to know the employees that you're sending the paychecks to. The customers, that's who you're receiving things. Vendors that you owe money to. And inventory items that you buy and sell inventory. And it says you want to get all this stuff together before you start the easy step interview, because you will ask about this stuff as part of the interview. But we're going to see this as you start the interview. If the material is not ready, then you'll have to go around and collect it again. So you can accept, and when you accept the interview, you'll see that there are default answers. And one interesting thing that they said is that if you're sending it up for a company that you're working with, you'd also have your tax returns from last year. Because your tax return from last year actually has a lot of the information on it, which you can then copy into QuickBooks. Okay. So that's the note about setting up for the interview. Okay. And then, so that's the note about setting the interview. We're going to come back to this in a second. Okay. Now we'll go back to PowerPoint. And what's next in the interview? That's book 2. What's next in the interview is that after you set it up, then you have to check the information and see that it's accurate. And checking it is making sure it's accurate, and that's a very easy thing to do. And most important is that QuickBooks may find errors in your application, errors in your workspace, and then you have to correct the errors. Okay. So that's the idea of fixing the errors that you have in QuickBooks. Okay, fixing the errors. Okay. So then you set a start date. Every company, as we said last week, your company runs with what's called a fiscal date. That's the date that the company begins its fiscal year. So it's important to set it up in understanding how your company's running. Okay, I hope I'm not talking too fast. If anybody thinks I'm talking too fast, please respond. Okay. Okay. So in book 2, we say that we are actually loading Okay. So now we're up to page 95 in the book if you have it. This is called loading the master list. And we'll see this in a second when we actually go through QuickBooks. We do the chart of the accounts, the items list, the price level list, the payroll item list, set of classes, set of customers, and set of vendors. This we all do in QuickBooks as we understand how we're doing this. Okay, and then we're going to see then book 3 we'll talk next week also about fine-tuning QuickBooks. Setting the preferences on QuickBooks, setting the accounting preferences, setting the checking preferences. As we said before, QuickBooks enables you to actually have a checking account. The checking account actually has the material in it. So that's how you can set up QuickBooks to do this. Okay, so any questions? I don't see any questions. Okay, so now let me see 1 second. Okay, so that's the end of the PowerPoint. Now we'll actually open up the QuickBooks. Okay. Okay, and I see over here, slow down a little bit. Now I'll open up the QuickBooks. Let me find the QuickBooks. One second, please. I have to make my phone call. I'll be back. 1 second, please. I have to find the QuickBooks. I'll be back in 1 second, very quickly. Okay, so I'm going to discuss something else until I get the QuickBooks set up. Okay, hold on one second. Okay, what I want to discuss right now is I have the book, Managerial Accounting Concepts. The book actually, you can get a hold of this in the library. This book over here actually has the concepts that you have for understanding accounting. And accounting is a very interesting subject. One second. Okay. So accounting is a very interesting subject. I actually have my relations in accounting. My brother is an accountant, my sister is an accountant, and my daughter is an accountant. Okay. So I will just send you a message. Just 1 minute. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Okay, so now I want to discuss one thing with accounting until I get to QuickBooks Sunny. So the difference that you have in accountants is that we have users of accounting. These are financial accountants provide information that's primarily used by investors, creditors, and others who work outside the business. In contrast, managing accountants focus on information that is used by executives, managers, and operators who work inside the business. These two different users need two different levels of information. So an interesting thing to see is how accountants actually work in several different dimensions. Number one, the QuickBooks users will actually be used to actually run the company. And then you actually have QuickBooks users who actually use to give the information to the leaders of the company. So that's a very important thing. So the idea is that you can actually see the QuickBooks session in the QuickBooks users, and then you can see the people who are going to use it. Okay, I have to just make my phone call because QuickBooks is not running on my computer right now. I have to check it. I'll be back 1 second. Sorry. Okay, since I can't get the QuickBooks session, I'm actually going to set up on the web. Hold on 1 second. The video is not on right now. Hold on 1 second. I'll get the video back. 1 second. Okay. Okay. I will start to get this video going in 1 minute. Hold on. Okay, I'm going to set up the web in about 30 seconds. So wait 1 second. Okay, can everybody see this now? This is QuickBooks Online. Okay, so here we have QuickBooks Online. Okay, I have QuickBooks Online set up on the video. I'm still talking. I have a problem. I gave him the outline first. No, that's it. Have it. Okay, very good. Okay, we're getting another computer which has QuickBooks on it, so hold on 1 second. This is QuickBooks. So this is sheriff name. Okay. Okay. So this is QuickBooks is shared. Okay, I am sorry for the delay. Next week we may extend the class to about 15 minutes as a compensation for that. Okay, so now we're loading QuickBooks. I apologize for that. Unfortunately, the computer that they gave me didn't have QuickBooks on it. Okay, so in the middle we searched for another computer and we found QuickBooks on it. So now we're loading QuickBooks. Okay, and this is a slow computer, so the QuickBooks is loading slowly. And we'll get back to the web the next time. Okay. So what we're doing over here is we're actually following what the book says. We're actually going to create a company. The company, again, as I said, is a unit of measure of how you actually do the QuickBooks. And we'll see this in 1 second as soon as QuickBooks loads. Still loading very slowly. Does everybody see loading QuickBooks? Okay, so here is QuickBooks. This is QuickBooks Pro 2009 edition. Okay, so everybody can see QuickBooks. So welcome back to QuickBooks. Okay, so here we have QuickBooks. This represents the company. The company has, again, as I said, everybody can see this. The company has, again, the idea of entering bills, paying bills, estimates, creating invoices, receive payments, statement charges, statements, create sales receipts, response and credits, enter time for employees or contractors, and then print checks is, again, I said last week, a lot of these things are extra cost items. For instance, if you want Intuit to print a check for you, you pay extra money on that, et cetera, et cetera. So now what we're doing is we're actually going to, in this company center, there's a customer center, there's a company center. Now we're starting over here again, as I said before. We're going to create a new company. Okay, and as I said before in the book, this is what we said before about starting the interview. So all this information that I'm going to set up for you is all going to be imaginary, so don't worry, it's not a real company. So what we have over here, we have setting up the interview. So first of all, we have the company name. We're going to call it Fictional Company. The little name is Fiction LLC. And then I'll say what the person's Social Security number is. That's not a real Social Security number. And then, okay, we entered the company information. And we'll say the company is an insurance agent. And we'll say that the company, in this particular case, is a single member entity called an LLC. It's a single member. It works on a Form 1040. And the fiscal year in this, and remember I said that when you have a year, you'll say, for instance, that this company starts its fiscal year in July. And then we have a password for the administrator. Because QuickBooks requires you to have a password. And the QuickBooks is stored in what's called the company file. That makes sense. And the file then is kept, the fictional company is kept on the desktop. No problem. wait for the company to be set up. And as I said, this is a slow computer, so I'm just setting it up slowly. Okay. And what do we sell? We sell services, such as insurance policies, okay, bill of statements. If you want to keep track of bills you owe, yeah, certainly for business. And now, he asks a question. I print checks. And I currently print checks, but I would like to. I don't have it, so I'm going to do that. I accept credit cards. I want to check time. I have a few employees in my company. And we have 1099 contractors. If you know, if you have employees who are paying Social Security and everything else like that, then they get paid on a W-2. And if they are contractors, then they are getting paid on a 1099. And you want to have multiple currencies? No, we don't do this. This company's only in New York. And chart of accounts, that's important. And the beginning of the year, again, is in 7/01/2010. That's what we said before. And we know our later bank account later. And then we have the idea of what services we have. We have commission income for our salesmen. We have bank service charges. We have business things. We have continuing education, depreciation expense, things that we buy. We have insurance expense. We have interest expense. We have okay. So that's my things. That's my accountant's other expenses. Okay. Now it says you're almost done, and now we're setting up the things. Okay. So now, as I said, we have our account. We have another user ID called manager. Okay, now we set it up. Okay, and again, it says my Intuit account has been set up. And then, since Intuit is a full-service company, they actually are able to have you set up a free website. We won't do that now. Now we'll start using QuickBooks. One second. So now, we set up the company, and now we're starting to use QuickBooks. Okay. So there is the company which we just set up. The fictional company, QuickBooks Pro 2009. And now, in the QuickBooks, we can actually start to set up some things. So let me get the book now, and we'll set up some interesting things. Okay. So we supplied the company information now. Now, we're going to, for instance, we're going to go to the employee center. And in the employee center, we're going to actually create a new employee. So we set up an employee. There's Mr. James Anderson, and that's the setting up an employee. Okay. And now if you look at the company snapshot, there's no data, there's no reminders because we haven't actually set up anything. So now we have, as the book says, we have the chart of accounts. And over here we have the accounts of the company. And that's what we say over here. So for instance, in saying over the account, number one, we have a balance sheet. So to say that the company the account is equity, that's the opening balance. We have a note. The opening balance is, let us say that we have an investor who put into our thing. We'll say we have $10,000. We'll say we have $100,000 as of June 30th. So what happened is before June 30th, one of my nice investor friends was actually going to invest in my company $100,000. I thank him for that. Fictional company. So now, when the business starts on July 1st, we're going to have $100,000 available to us. That's the idea, which is important, and that's like a record that you have to have available for you. You have to have available for you, for instance, over here, the idea that somebody was going to give you that $100,000 and where that money is, and that you can actually add it to the business. Okay. And we also create an employee. So let's go back to the chart of lists. And let us say that, for instance, we're going to have an automobile available for the agents to ride around in. So in the automobile, this will be a sub-account of the business. We'll say it's a sub-account of travel expenses. And this, in fact, when we have the income tax filled out for the company, this will be Schedule C, the car and truck expense. So a note on this. There's a shared car among the agents. Okay? So in other words, on July 1st, when the company starts, we're going to have a car which is going to be available. Also, we have a telephone expense. So the telephone expense also is going to be telephone expense. And note, Verizon will be used. This will be a sub-account. So this is a sub-account of, let's say, office supplies. So now we have telephone expenses as a sub-account of office supplies. So the idea is, as we've been showing you over here, is that we have to set up our company. There's our company information. And then over here we're going to enter a vendor. Because again we have a telephone account, so now the vendor is going to be called okay. So now we're going to make a new vendor. The vendor name will be Verizon. And it's going to be again on July the 1st. And again, this is setting it up the company. So the idea is, as I've been showing you, that when you set up a company, you have to set up all of the information in. So we set up a vendor. And the vendor is Verizon, and that'll be the people who run our company. And for instance, over here we have, let us say, a nice investor. So this will be what about the people there. So the idea is we are setting up all the things that we have in the company. Do we have any questions? Okay. Okay. So now over here, what we've done is we actually have set up the companies, and for instance, over here we'll create a new transaction. So Verizon has sent us a bill in advance for the service. So we'll say this number 1001 is due then. Telephone expenses. The amount that they asked us to set aside is $100. $100. Memo for cell and regular phone. So now over here we have accounts payable that we're going to have for $100, which is going to be on July the 10th. Okay, so this is how we're setting it up. Okay, any questions on this? So in other words, over here, what we're doing is we are setting up all the services. So now we'll show you the payroll. So it says over here, so payroll, they're very interesting now. It's opening up a website since I hit payroll services. So for instance, this one employee that I mentioned over here, we want to pay him. That's only fair. So in doing that, we have to go to make a subscription to Intuit Payroll Services. So it's searching the website. 1 second. Here it says it's a slow computer. It is acting very slowly. I'm sorry. The website has been found, but it's acting very slowly. So let me see what else I can do. Okay, close that. Okay. Getting back to our company, forget about the payroll now, that takes too long. So then we have our vendors, our suppliers, and then, for instance, we have also a tax agency. So now we have a vendor called the tax agency. So you see how it's important that when setting this up, everything has to be available for you, and everything has to be online. So let's go back to our list. So first of all, we had furniture and equipment, and our accounts payable for the $100. That's for the telephone company. We have advertising and promotion, for instance. So we have advertising and promotion. So sub-count of professional fees. Note, advertising will start on June 20th. Google. So that's our account. Advertising starts on 20th. So and then we'll make a new vendor. So for instance, in the modern world, since some of our advertising will be done by Google AdSense, we'll add Google as the vendor name. Let's say this will be a $10 balance at the beginning. And the accounts will be the transactions, the professional fees for advertising will be used to pay for the Google account. And we have that already. The same as the address of Google is I'll cancel that because I already did that. So there we have Google, Mr. Sam Duncan, Mr. Samji at Google.com, who we use for our advertising. Okay, so over here what we're doing is we're setting up all activities of our company. So far we set up a telephone account, we set up a advertising account, and let's go back to lists again. And an insurance company has to have accounts in entertainment. Is expense. And this is cost of goods sold because you have to have, continue, meals and entertainment of our clients. Okay, save and close. So now we have meals, which is cost of goods sold, because what happened is when we have the account, we have to wine and dine our customers to make sure that they join us and pay pay for their services. Oh, any questions on this? So over here, what we've been doing is we've been setting up a fictional company. This is called the fictional company. Next week, we will also continue to work on this fictional company. Continue to do this. So one last thing that I'll discuss in the last 10 minutes. In the setting up of the company, we have a tremendous variety of things that we can set up. As again we showed you before, we have all the lists that we have over there, all the company lists, company closing dates, the reminders, the alerts manager, customer center, vendor center, employee center, banking center, report services, and our online services. So over here, for instance, we also have the services which I mentioned last week. We have myserviceswintuit.com, Custom Manage Online, Managed Services, Time Tracker for managing the time of the thing, search advertising, which we mentioned before on Google, and incorporation services. Okay, so in incorporation services, so this is now shared. This is my corporation. This is Entrepreneurs Welcome. We start a business for free, incorporating and forming an LLC, plus access to 2,000 free and discount services through PR Network. So over here, we say we want to make a free LLC. So the idea is over here, and this is again what we call the Intuit services. We are going to take the articles of organization, the basic one, which is called My Free. Normally $149. Now we're getting it for free. So now, over there, my account login page. And so, continue as a guest in this case over here. So it says over here that this is a limited liability company. And one important thing, when you do this through the state. So since we're in New York, we'll do it in New York. And now, there are different, now there are costs that are doing it. Number one, my incorporation has a $149 service for setting the company up. Shipping and handling them. The state has a filing fee. This is not the company. This is not my corporation. New York State charges $210 filing fee, and then publication of the service actually does for a total cost of $692. So that's the filing service, the shipping and handling of the documents, the state filing fee. Notice, no additional county publishing range from $250 to $1,900 will apply. What happens is in New York, you actually may have to set up in different counties. That's an interesting thing. To save $149, use coupon MyFree at checking. So the $149, which the company charges, actually can be maybe mitigated when we check out. So let's see what happens. So now we say Elite LLC member kit and endorser, additional member certificates, my corporation rush services, overnight shipping, order now. So we're not going to order anything because we're not really setting it up. But the idea over here is that we actually ordered a company, and we have the LLC members, company info, federal EIN. So one of the things that you have when you have and I have an EIN of myself, I have my own little company. So the EIN is there. Business maintenance, trademarks incorporated, learning center affiliates. Okay. So what we've shown today, and I apologize again for this interruption in the middle, we've shown, number one, setting up a company, completing the interview, entering an employee, entering in a few companies that are vendors. For instance, we showed that we had a vendor who is going to do our advertising, another vendor who is going to our phone service. We showed we had one employee. We started to work with the banking. We started to work with a few other services. So this is the idea of setting up a company. Any questions you have? Okay. So let me see some questions. So, other name lists, are there other type of people that have worked in your company? I'll try to speak a little clearer. And my headset is plugged in nicely. Okay. So are there any other questions that you have right now? This will be finishing now in a few minutes. Okay. So again, what I recommend for everybody for the next week, particularly if you can get the book QuickBooks for Dummies, that's a very good book. And also get QuickBooks installed. We'll have more about web-based QuickBooks. Next week we will go into book 3. In book 3, okay, I'll slow down. Okay, in book 3 we will see some more details about the details inside QuickBooks, and that's what we will be doing next week. Okay, so I thank you all for coming today. And in fact, hopefully I'll get the right computer next week, which has QuickBooks installed in. I'll check it a little bit earlier. And that's all for now. Okay, so again, thank you for participating. Any questions, again, swhandel@gmail.com. Try to answer the questions as quickly as I can. And that's it. Okay, so again, I apologize for that little break in the middle. We will try to make up about 15 minutes next week. Okay, so just let me thank you all. Thanks for participating. Okay, and now I'm pressing the stop button. Okay, everybody. Okay, good afternoon.